Companions, I want to talk to you a bit about recruitment for Royal Arch. I have an interesting story. It happened many years ago. A very good friend of mine, the Reverend Dr. Edwin Powers Elliott Jr., who was our Grand Chaplain, very much strong Royal Arch person, promoted the craft constantly. He cornered a fairly young Master Mason. He had probably been raised only maybe 6 months before, cornered him at a lodge meeting, and was really putting the rush on him to join Royal Arch. He was saying that we have a very good group of guys, we have a lot of fun together, we have good meetings, good programs. We call ourselves the Eat Well District because we always serve a very good meal beforehand. And the young man was resistant, though. He said, I've just been raised not that long ago, and I really want to learn more about the 3 degrees that I've just taken before I move on to something else. And all of a sudden, a light went on in my head. I realized what was wrong with his approach. And I put my arm around this young man. I fairly rudely interrupted them and said, you know, you're absolutely right. You really should learn more about the first 3 degrees before you move on to something else. But give me a moment and let me just tell you a little bit about the degrees. We have 6 degrees in Royal Arch. The first one is the Mark Master degree. And the Mark Master degree is an extension of the Fellow Craft degree. It has a lot of craft stuff in it. It's a wonderful degree. In ancient times it was conferred right after the Fellow Craft degree because of the importance of it. In every degree opening and closing, you hear the wardens recite their duties, and the senior warden says, pay the craft their wages, if any be due. Well, do you know where wages are paid? Do you know when wages are paid? Do you know how much the wages are? Do you know how they protect themselves from people who might fraudulently be trying to collect wages when there's nothing due them? And do you know what the penalty is for trying to collect wages when there's nothing due you? All of this is taught in the Mark Master degree. Plus at the end there's a wonderful lesson about abiding the law. It's a wonderful degree, and it expands on the Fellow Craft degree tremendously. It's outstanding. Our second degree is the Past Master degree. Now, the Grand Lodge of Virginia considers the lessons of the Past Master degree to be so important that you cannot be elected warden in your lodge unless you've had the Past Master degree, either in Royal Arch or through a provisional lodge of past masters. It's the same degree either way, but you must have that degree before you can be elected warden in your lodge. The third and fourth degrees are done together. They're called the Cryptic Council degrees. Now, in every other jurisdiction in the U.S., that's a separate organization. The Cryptic Masons are a separate organization from Royal Arch. In Virginia and West Virginia, we do them together in the same system in Royal Arch. Now, these 2 degrees have to do with stuff related to the second section of the Master Mason degree. They're conferred together because they're very closely related together. The Select Master is all about a secret work that was going on underneath the temple while the temple was being built. And only a select number, 27 in all, were selected to work on this secret work under the temple. And it has to do with the preservation of the secrets that were contained within the Sanctum Sanctorum or Holy of Holies. The Royal Master degree it takes place in the Sanctum Sanctorum the evening before the death of one of our 3 Grand Masters, and it explains exactly why that secret work was going on, how the preservation was done, but it more importantly explains in the second section of the Master Mason degree why the 12 fellow crafts recanted. It was because of this conversation and the content of that conversation. You also are acquainted now with the ringleader who was the one who organized the group who tried to assassinate one of our Grand Masters. Very important information, information that you did not receive in the second section of the Master Mason's degree. It's only alluded to. You were told in that second section that the Master's word was lost because of his death. But in fact, it was not lost. It was preserved. And it has all to do with these two degrees about where it was preserved, and why it was preserved. Very important information. In the Most Excellent Master degree, our fifth degree, it is the completion and dedication of the temple. It's a beautiful ceremony taken right out of the Bible, and it explains what happened after the temple was completed. You have 153,300 workers on the temple. What did they do? Where did they go? What happened? It explains that. And it also explains how they maintained the temple after it was completed, because a building, of course, that big would need constant maintenance. It explains a lot of those things about the building of the temple and what happened after it was completed. The last degree is the Royal Arch degree, the sixth degree. In the Royal Arch degree, you learn the story of the destruction of Jerusalem and the temple. The Jews are taken off into captivity, and after 50-some years, Cyrus ascends the throne of Persia, and he attacks Babylon, and he wins a great victory. And he ascribes that victory to the Jewish God, and consequently frees the Jews, and even funds them to go back to Jerusalem and to rebuild the temple, the city and the temple. Well, while they're doing this work of rebuilding, they happen to discover a secret space underneath the Sanctum Sanctorum, which is referred to in the Select Master degree. And in that, they find many of the stored treasures, the preserved treasures from the Sanctum Sanctorum. And they discover, consequently, the long-lost Master's word, which you were told in the second section of the Master Mason's degree was lost. You were given a substitute word. In the Royal Arch degree, you're given the actual word, and that is restored, plus the other treasures that explain many of the things in the contents of the Sanctum Sanctorum. So, if you understand nothing else, understand that Royal Arch is not something else. Royal Arch is a more detailed explanation of our first three degrees. If you are seeking more light in Masonry, you need to start with the Royal Arch degrees. So my companions, I hope this has been helpful to you. I hope you can take use of some of the things I've told you, because no Master Mason, especially these young Master Masons, really wants to have another night away from home. They really don't need to buy another dues card. And that's what this young Master Mason was hearing when he said, it's a good group of guys, and we have good programs, and we have good meetings. You need to give them something that they are interested in. The work will sell itself. So when you talk to a Master Mason about Royal Arch, talk to him about the work. The work will sell itself. So I hope this has been helpful to you. God bless you all.